The massive shadow fell across Earth's major cities like a slow-moving eclipse. People stopped in their tracks, cars screeched to a halt, and millions of faces turned skyward. Above them, blocking out the sun, floated three enormous ships that made aircraft carriers look like toys in comparison. In the United Earth Defense Force headquarters, Captain James Miller stood at attention, his crisp blue uniform a stark contrast to the chaos unfolding on the monitoring screens around him. His weathered face showed no fear, though his heart raced as he watched the alien vessels take position above Earth's atmosphere. "Sir, they're broadcasting on all frequencies," reported a young technician, his fingers dancing across the holographic display. "They want to establish immediate contact." Miller nodded, squaring his shoulders. "Put them through to the main screen." The wall-sized display flickered to life, and Miller found himself staring at a creature that seemed to have stepped out of humanity's wildest dreams or nightmares. The alien stood nearly 9 feet tall, its gray-scaled skin reflecting the light of their ship's interior. Its 4 eyes blinked in an unsettling pattern as it regarded the humans with what could only be described as amusement. "I am High Commander Stone of the Galactic Concordat." The alien's voice boomed through the speakers, automatically translated by Earth's AI systems. "We have come to offer your species the opportunity to join our mighty alliance." Miller maintained his composure, though he couldn't help but notice how the alien had to bend down to fit properly in the camera frame. "I am Captain James Miller, representing the United Earth Defense Force. We welcome peaceful contact with your civilization." A sound like grinding rocks emerged from the alien's communication device. Laughter, Miller realized with a start. "How amusing," Stone rumbled. "Your species is even smaller than our scouts reported." The alien leader gestured to his subordinates, who joined in the laughter. Admiral Tom Walker stepped forward, joining Miller in the frame. "Size isn't everything, High Commander. Humanity has faced long odds before." "Ah yes, your history," Stone said, consulting what appeared to be a datapad. "We've reviewed your military capabilities. Primitive, but charming. We are willing to offer your people positions within our military structure, perhaps as maintenance crews or supply handlers. Roles better suited to your stature." Miller felt his jaw tighten, but kept his diplomatic smile in place. "And if we wish to maintain our independence." The alien commander's 4 eyes narrowed simultaneously. "Independence? You misunderstand, Tiny One. This is not a negotiation. The Concordat requires your world's resources and strategic position. We are merely offering you the courtesy of peaceful integration rather than immediate conquest." Around the command center, Miller could hear the angry murmurs of his staff. Humanity had united its military forces just decades ago, overcoming centuries of internal conflict. They wouldn't bow to external threats now. "We appreciate your offer," Miller said carefully, "but Earth and humanity are not for sale or surrender. We are willing to discuss trade agreements and peaceful cooperation, but we will maintain our sovereignty." Stone's scaled face twisted into what might have been a smile, though it looked more like a predatory grimace. "How bold. Your species has spirit. I'll grant you that. Very well. We will give you 48 Earth hours to reconsider your position. Remember, you would be wise to accept our generous offer. The alternative would be unfortunate." The transmission cut off, leaving the command center in tense silence. Admiral Walker turned to Miller, his expression grim. "Well, that could have gone better." "They're underestimating us," Miller replied, watching the massive ships looming on the external cameras. "Just like every other species in those old sci-fi stories did. They see our size and think they know everything about us." "Should we begin evacuation protocols?" a staff member asked nervously. Miller shook his head, a determined glint in his eyes. "No, we prepare for battle. Humanity didn't climb to the top of Earth's food chain by being the biggest or strongest. We did it by being the smartest, the most adaptable, and the most determined." He turned to face his crew, his voice firm with conviction. "Let them laugh at our size. They'll learn soon enough that humanity's strength isn't measured in feet and inches. The next 48 hours would prove crucial for Earth's future, and Captain Miller knew that the real test of humanity's resolve was just beginning. The 48 hours passed like a slow-moving storm. Earth's military forces remained on high alert, weapons pointed skyward at the massive alien ships that continued to cast their shadows over the planet. Inside the United Earth Defense Force headquarters, Captain Miller hadn't slept more than a few hours, his uniform wrinkled from the long wait. "Incoming transmission from the Concordat," announced the communications officer. Same channel as before. The main screen lit up with High Commander Stone's towering figure. This time, he stood in what appeared to be a war room, surrounded by holographic maps and other alien officers. "Have you reconsidered your position, tiny ones?" Stone asked, his 4 eyes blinking in that unsettling pattern. Admiral Walker stepped forward. "We have. Earth stands firm. We will not surrender." Instead of anger, Stone's face showed something close to amusement. "We expected such a response from your spirited species." He pressed something on his control panel, and a hologram appeared in Earth's command center. It showed a distant moon orbiting a red dwarf star. "This is Kepler 186f, Stone explained. "A neutral location, far from both our worlds. We propose a challenge, one battle to determine Earth's fate." Miller studied the hologram carefully. "What kind of challenge?" "Simple combat," Stone replied. "Your forces against ours. If you win, Earth maintains its independence and will establish diplomatic relations as equals. If we win, Earth joins the Concordat under our direct control." The command center erupted in whispered conversations. Miller exchanged glances with Admiral Walker before asking, "And the terms of this combat?" "Each side will send their best warriors. You have 3 Earth months to prepare and transport your forces to Kepler 186. Stone's mouth curved into what might have been a smile. "We'll even let you send 500 of your soldiers, while we'll only use 100 of ours. A generous advantage, considering your physical limitations." Miller felt his face flush with anger at the mockery, but kept his voice steady. "And we're supposed to trust you'll honor this agreement. The battle will be monitored by 3 neutral species from the Galactic Council," Stone responded. "Their word is binding. We are not barbarians, Captain Miller. We simply understand the natural order of things." Admiral Walker stepped closer to the screen. "And if we refuse this challenge, then we take your world by force," Stone said simply. "This way, at least you have a chance, small as it may be." Miller squared his shoulders. "We request 1 hour to discuss your terms with Earth's leadership." "Granted," Stone said, looking bored. "Though I doubt an hour of discussion will make you any taller." The transmission ended with that familiar grinding rock laughter. The next 50 minutes were filled with heated debates among Earth's military and political leaders. Some argued it was a trap, others saw it as their only chance. Finally, a decision was reached. When Stone's face reappeared on the screen, Miller stood ready with Earth's answer. "We accept your challenge," he declared firmly. Stone's 4 eyes widened slightly, perhaps the first sign of surprise he'd shown. "Excellent. Though I must admit, we expected more hesitation from such small creatures." "There's an old Earth saying," Miller replied. "The bigger they are, the harder they fall." "How quaint," Stone rumbled. "We'll transmit the exact coordinates and battle parameters. Remember, 3 months, Captain. Make them count." The transmission ended, leaving the command center in thoughtful silence. Admiral Walker turned to Miller. "Well, we just bet humanity's future on our ability to beat aliens 3 times our size." "No," Miller corrected him, a determined glint in his eye. "We just bet humanity's future on our brains, our technology, and our determination. Size didn't help the dinosaurs when the meteors came. It won't help them against human ingenuity." He turned to face the gathered officers. "Contact Commander Anna Thompson. Tell her to begin preparing our best Special Forces units. We have 3 months to show the galaxy that humanity's strength isn't measured in inches, but in courage, skill, and tactical brilliance. As the officers rushed to carry out their orders, Miller looked back at the hologram of Kepler 186, still floating in the center of the room. In 3 months, that distant moon would either become humanity's greatest triumph or its final battlefield. The clock was ticking. Commander Anna Thompson stood in the underground training facility, watching her soldiers run through combat drills in their new powered suits. The massive complex, carved deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, hummed with activity as Earth's best warriors prepared for the fight of their lives. Again, she shouted as a squad maneuvered through the obstacle course. Remember, you're fighting opponents 3 times your size. Use that to your advantage. The soldiers moved like lightning through the course, their powered suits enhancing their natural speed and strength. They rolled under barriers that simulated the aliens' height, used their smaller size to hide behind cover, and struck at targets from unexpected angles. Better, Thompson said into her comm unit, but not good enough. We've got 2 months left, and we need to be perfect. A young soldier named Jack walked up to her, his powered suit gleaming under the facility's lights. Commander, the new AI combat systems are ready for testing. Thompson nodded and followed him to the technology sector. The walls were lined with screens showing complex battle simulations. Dr. Alan West, the lead scientist, greeted them with obvious excitement. "Commander, you need to see this," he said, pulling up a holographic display. "We've analyzed every bit of footage we have of the Concordat's warriors. Their size makes them strong, but it also makes them slow. Our new AI system can predict their movements and help our soldiers react faster." Thompson watched as the AI ran through combat scenarios. "Show me how it works in the suit." Jack stepped forward, activating his suit's AI system. Small displays inside his helmet lit up, showing threat assessments, movement predictions, and tactical suggestions. As a training drone attacked, the AI helped Jack move at exactly the right moment, using the drone's momentum against it. "Impressive," Thompson said. "But will it work against real aliens?" "The system learns and adapts in real time," Dr. West explained. "The more our soldiers fight, the better it gets at predicting enemy patterns." Thompson turned to the observation window, watching more soldiers train below. Some worked with the new plasma rifles designed to punch through alien armor. Others practiced close combat techniques modified from Earth's martial arts, specially adapted for their powered suits. Lieutenant Brad, her second in command, approached with a tablet. "Latest simulation results, Commander. Our units are showing a 75% success rate against the alien combat patterns." "Not good enough," Thompson said firmly. "We need 90% or better. The lives of everyone on Earth depend on us." She walked down to the training floor, gathering her soldiers around her. 500 men and women, chosen from the best special forces units around the world. They stood at attention, their powered suits making them look like modern knights in high-tech armor. "Listen up," she began, her voice carrying across the quiet room. "I know the aliens think we're small, weak, not worth worrying about, but they don't understand what humans are capable of." She pointed to the various training stations around them. "We're not just training to fight. We're training to outsmart them. Every weakness in their armor, every flaw in their strategy, every limitation of their size, we'll use it all against them." A hologram appeared above them, showing the battlefield on Kepler 186F. "This moon will be our proving ground. Its lower gravity gives us an advantage. Our suits are lighter, faster, more agile. While they're stumbling around in their heavy armor, we'll be running circles around them." "But Commander," one soldier spoke up, "what if their armor is too tough for our weapons?" Thompson smiled. "That's why we train with everything we have. Speed, strategy, teamwork, and technology. We're not going to beat them with brute force. We're going to beat them with brains." She looked at each soldier in turn. 1 month from now, we ship out to Kepler 186F. In 2 months, we show the galaxy why you should never underestimate humans. Now, back to work. As her soldiers returned to their training with renewed determination, Thompson watched them with pride. The aliens thought they were being generous by allowing 500 humans to fight their 100 warriors. They would soon learn that quantity wasn't everything, and that Earth's tiny army was anything but weak. The human transport ships descended through Kepler 186's thin atmosphere, their hulls glowing red from the entry heat. Inside the lead ship, Commander Thompson stood with her soldiers, all sealed in their powered suits. The ship's view screens showed the alien landscape below, a world of purple rocks and strange, twisting formations under a deep red sky. "Landing zone in sight," the pilot announced. "Concordat forces already on the ground." Thompson checked her suit's systems one final time. "Remember your training," she said to her troops. "They think we need 500 soldiers to match their 100 warriors. Let's show them why." The ships touched down in a cloud of dust. As the ramps lowered, Thompson led her forces out onto the alien moon's surface. Their suits automatically adjusted to the lower gravity, special boots anchoring them to the ground to prevent floating away. In the distance, they saw the Concordat's massive warriors. The aliens stood in perfect formation, their armor gleaming under the red dwarf star's light. Without their environmental suits, they looked even larger than before, each one nearly 3 times the size of a human in full battle gear. High Commander Stone's voice boomed across the battlefield through external speakers. "Ah, the tiny ones arrive at last. I see you need your little suits to even breathe here." His warriors laughed, the sound echoing across the rocky plain. Thompson stepped forward, her suit's systems already analyzing the terrain and the enemy positions. "We work with what we have, Commander Stone. Shall we begin?" "So eager to meet your defeat." Stone chuckled. "Very well. The neutral observers are in orbit, monitoring everything. The battle zone is marked by the beacon pylons. Last force standing wins their world's freedom." The human soldiers spread out according to their practiced formations. Jack led his squad to the right flank, while Lieutenant Brad took his team left. Thompson kept her command unit in the center, their suits' AI systems sharing data and building a complete tactical picture. Stone raised his massive weapon, something between a sword and an energy cannon. "We'll try not to break too many of you, tiny ones." The Concordat prefers its servants in working condition. Instead of responding, Thompson gave a single hand signal. In an instant, her forces vanished, diving behind rocks, activating their suits' adaptive camouflage, breaking into smaller units that would be harder to track. "Running away already?" Stone bellowed. "Typical of your small species." He ordered his warriors forward, their heavy footsteps shaking the ground. They moved in tight formation, their massive weapons ready to crush any resistance. That's when Thompson sprung her first trap. "Team 3, now," she commanded through the secure comlink. A squad of humans darted out from behind the rocks, moving so fast they seemed to blur. Before the aliens could turn their heavy weapons, the humans had slipped between their legs, placing small devices on their armor joints. "What is this?" Stone roared as several of his warriors stumbled, their armor's power systems temporarily scrambled by the human devices. "Cowards' tactics." "No," Thompson replied calmly. "Smart tactics." She gave another signal, and more teams struck from different directions. The humans used their smaller size and greater speed to maximum advantage, striking weak points and disappearing before the aliens could respond. A massive alien warrior swung at Jack's squad, but they easily ducked under the slow attack. The lower gravity made the aliens' movements even more cumbersome, while the humans' suits allowed them to move with precision and grace. "First blood to us," Thompson announced as 3 alien warriors fell, their armor systems completely disabled by the human attacks. The aliens hadn't lost any warriors yet, but they'd just learned their first lesson about underestimating human ingenuity. Stone's voice carried a new edge of concern. "Impressive toys, tiny ones, but toys won't win this battle." "No," Thompson agreed, watching her soldiers continue their hit-and-run attacks. But brains, speed, and preparation will. This is just the beginning, Commander Stone. Still think you only needed 100 warriors. As the red sun began to set on Kepler 186f, the battle was far from over. But the aliens were already learning that size wasn't everything, and humanity's tiny army was full of surprises. As the first day of battle turned into night, Commander Thompson gathered her officers in a hidden ravine. Their powered suits glowed softly in the darkness, while tactical displays showed the positions of both human and alien forces across the battlefield. "Status report," Thompson ordered, her voice quiet but firm. Lieutenant Brad pulled up a holographic map. "We've disabled 12 of their warriors without losing any of our own, but Stone's bringing out their heavy weapons now." Above them, the red dwarf star cast strange shadows across the alien landscape. In the distance, they could hear the heavy footsteps of Concordat warriors, searching for their position. "They're angry," Jack added, checking his suit's readings. "They didn't expect us to be this effective. But those new plasma cannons they're using, one hit could take out 3 or 4 of us at once." Thompson nodded, studying the battlefield map. "Then we don't get hit. Launch the drones." Hundreds of small drones, each no bigger than a human hand, lifted off from the human positions. They scattered across the battlefield, their sensors feeding data back to the soldiers' AI systems. Within minutes, they had a complete picture of every alien position. "Look at this," Thompson pointed to one section of the map. "They're still moving in large groups. They haven't adapted to our tactics. Let's make them pay for that mistake." She quickly laid out her plan to her officers. As they moved to their positions, the night sky lit up with alien searchlights, trying to spot the human forces. High Commander Stone's voice boomed across the battlefield. "Come out and face us directly, tiny ones. Or are you only brave when hiding in the shadows?" Thompson smiled inside her helmet. "Squad 2 and 4, begin Operation Thunderclap." On the far side of the battlefield, human soldiers activated powerful sonic devices. The devices sent low-frequency vibrations through the ground, confusing the aliens' sense of direction. At the same time, other squads used their suits camouflaged to slip behind enemy lines. "Their formation is breaking," Jack reported excitedly. "They're splitting up to search for us." "Now," Thompson commanded, "all units, execute Pattern Delta." The human forces struck from multiple directions at once. Teams of 3 or 4 soldiers targeted isolated alien warriors, using their superior speed and coordination to overwhelm them. The powered suit's AI systems predicted enemy movements perfectly, allowing the humans to dodge the deadly plasma shots while landing their own hits. "Impossible," Stone roared as more of his warriors fell. "How are you coordinating these attacks?" Instead of answering, Thompson led her command squad in a daring raid on the aliens' command post. Their smaller size allowed them to slip through gaps in the alien defenses that the Concordat had thought too small to be a threat. "Commander," Brad's voice crackled over the comm. "They're bringing in their heavy walker units." Thompson watched as massive mechanical walkers, each as tall as a 3-story building, stomped onto the battlefield. They carried weapons that could vaporize whole squads of humans. "Perfect," Thompson said calmly. "Just as we planned. Launch the EMPs." Human soldiers fired specially designed electromagnetic pulse devices at the walkers. The aliens had shielded their regular armor against such attacks, but they hadn't expected the humans to be able to produce EMPs powerful enough to affect their largest machines. The walkers crashed to the ground, their systems overloaded. Stone's curses echoed across the battlefield as his expensive war machines were rendered useless by the humans' primitive technology. "Half their force is down," Jack reported, "but they're adapting to our tactics. The remaining warriors are spreading out, making our hit-and-run attacks harder." Thompson watched the battlefield map, noting how the alien warriors were finally changing their strategy. "Good," she said. "Let them adapt. We still have plenty of surprises left." As the red dwarf star began to rise again, marking the start of a new day, the battle entered a new phase. The aliens had learned not to underestimate human ingenuity, but they still didn't understand just how deep that ingenuity ran. Thompson knew the real test was still to come. All units, she commanded, prepare for Phase 2. Let's show them what humanity's tiny army can really do. The battle entered its third day on Kepler 186f. The alien landscape was now scared with blast marks and fallen war machines. High Commander Stone had only 40 warriors left standing, while Commander Thompson's forces remained strong at 480 soldiers. Gather all remaining warriors. Stone's voice thundered across the battlefield. We end this now. No more running, no more tricks. Thompson watched through her helmet's display as the alien forces gathered for one final push. They formed a massive wedge formation, with Stone himself at the front, carrying what looked like a devastating new weapon. They're desperate, Lieutenant Brad said, checking his tactical display. But that weapon Stone's carrying, our sensors can't identify it. Thompson nodded inside her helmet. Then we'll treat it as a maximum threat. All units, initiate Final Protocol Alpha. Across the battlefield, human soldiers activated new systems in their powered suits. The suits began to glow with a soft blue light, their power cores running at maximum capacity. Remember your training, Thompson broadcast to all units. Everything we've done until now is preparing for this moment. Stone raised his massive weapon to the red sky. Charge! Crush these tiny pests once and for all. The remaining alien warriors surged forward, their heavy footsteps shaking the ground. Stone's new weapon fired, sending waves of energy that melted the rocky ground in their path. But the humans were ready. Now, Thompson commanded. In perfect synchronization, all human units activated their gravity manipulators, devices they'd kept hidden until this moment. The lower gravity of Kepler 186f, combined with their suit's technology, allowed them to perform maneuvers that would have been impossible on Earth. Human soldiers leaped incredible distances, literally running up the sides of rock formations and launching themselves over the alien warriors' heads. The Concordat forces tried to track them, but the humans moved too fast, attacking from all angles. Impossible. Stone roared as his warriors fell into confusion. No species this small should move like this. Thompson led her command squad straight at Stone himself. Size isn't everything, Commander. Humanity's greatest strength isn't in our muscles. It's in our minds. Her squad split into perfect formation, each soldier moving with incredible precision. The AI systems in their suits worked in perfect harmony, predicting and countering every move Stone tried to make. Stone fired his weapon desperately, but the humans were already gone, diving between his legs and attacking from behind. Special EMP charges attached to his armor, shorting out his weapon systems. Now you face us with no technological advantages, Stone growled, throwing down his disabled weapon. Just strength against strength. Thompson's voice was calm in response. Wrong again. We still have our greatest weapon, teamwork. 20 human soldiers moved as one, using their suits' enhanced strength and their perfect coordination to target Stone's weak points. They struck like a swarm of hornets, each hit precisely calculated by their AI systems. The mighty High Commander fell to one knee, his armor sparking and failing. Around him, his remaining warriors were meeting similar fates as the human forces demonstrated the full power of their combined tactics and technology. How? Stone demanded as Thompson's soldiers surrounded him. How can such small creatures defeat the mighty Concordat? Thompson landed in front of him, her suit's systems powering down to normal levels. Because you made the oldest mistake in warfare, Commander. You judged us by our size, never bothering to look deeper. She gestured at her soldiers, still moving with perfect precision around the battlefield, securing the last of the alien warriors. Humans have always survived by being smarter, not bigger. We don't need to be giants to change the galaxy. The red dwarf star reached its peak in the sky as Stone, mighty leader of the Concordat forces, formally surrendered to Earth's tiny army. The battle was over, but its impact on the galaxy was just beginning. As Thompson raised Earth's flag on that distant moon, she knew that no one would ever again make the mistake of judging humanity by its size. 1 month after the Battle of Kepler 186F, Captain James Miller stood in the United Earth Defense Force headquarters, watching as ships from dozens of alien species entered Earth's orbit. This time, there was no fear in the control room, only pride. The main screen activated, showing the chamber of the Galactic Council. Representatives from over 50 species sat in tiered seats, their sizes ranging from smaller than humans to larger than the Concordat warriors. At the center stood Commander Anna Thompson, her dress uniform crisp and perfect. The Council recognizes the victory of Earth's forces on Kepler 186F, announced the Chief Council member, a being of pure energy. The battle was witnessed by our observers and recorded for historical purposes. Never in our history has such a decisive victory been achieved by a newer species. High Commander Stone, his pride visibly wounded but his honor intact, stepped forward. As leader of the Concordat forces, I officially acknowledge humanity's military superiority. I was wrong to judge them by their size. Thompson stood straight and proud. Earth accepts your acknowledgement, Commander. We look forward to peaceful relations between our peoples. The Chief Council member's energy form flickered with approval. The human victory has taught us all a valuable lesson. Physical size does not determine a species' worth or capabilities. The Council officially recognizes Earth as a full member of the galactic community. In the control room, Miller smiled as cheers erupted around him. On screen, he could see Lieutenant Brad and Jack standing behind Thompson, representing the soldiers who had fought so brilliantly. Furthermore, the Council member continued, "We request that humanity share its military training techniques with other species. Your combination of technology, tactics, and teamwork is unprecedented." Thompson nodded. Earth would be honored. However, we have one condition. She paused, making eye contact with various council members. The term tiny army will be recognized as a mark of respect, not mockery. Our size is not a weakness. It's part of what makes us who we are. The council chamber filled with sounds of agreement from the assembled species. Even Stone managed what might have been a smile. Back on Earth, the news sparked global celebrations. Humanity had not only preserved its independence, but had earned the respect of the galaxy. Military academies from dozens of worlds requested Earth instructors, eager to learn from the species that had turned its perceived weaknesses into strengths. In the weeks that followed, Earth's cities welcomed visitors from across the galaxy. Trade agreements were signed, cultural exchanges began, and humanity took its place among the stars not as servants, but as equals. Miller walked through the halls of the newly established Galactic Defense Academy in Colorado, where Thompson now trained both human and alien soldiers. Through the reinforced windows, he could see teams of various species learning to work together, with humans leading the exercises. "Quite a change from 2 months ago," Thompson said, joining him at the window. "Remember when they thought we'd be lucky to serve as their maintenance crew?" Miller chuckled. "Now they're rebuilding their entire military strategy based on our tactics." "How are the Concordat warriors adapting to our training methods?" "Surprisingly well," Thompson replied. "Once they stopped focusing on raw strength and started learning about mobility and teamwork, they became excellent students. Stone himself has become one of our biggest supporters." Outside, a group of newly graduated cadets, human and alien alike, raised the Earth flag alongside those of other worlds. The sight of the tiny humans teaching combat techniques to beings 3 times their size had become normal. "You know what the best part is," Miller said, watching the ceremony. "We didn't just win a battle. We changed the way the galaxy thinks. Size, strength, speed. They're all just tools. It's how you use them that matters." Thompson nodded, her victory medals gleaming. And the next time someone underestimates humanity because of our size, they'll remember Kepler 186f, Miller finished. They'll remember the day a tiny army proved that the biggest victories don't always go to the biggest warriors. As the red sun set on another day of Earth's new role in the galaxy, the legend of humanity's victory grew. The species that had once been mocked for its size had become the galaxy's greatest teacher, proving once and for all that true strength comes in all sizes.